Shalom, good evening, bonjour. As it says behind me, my name is Julie Payette. I'm the president of the Association of Space Explorers. And just a few minutes ago, a ISU alumni came to me and said, hey, this is cool, that association. How can I become a member? And I said, well, you got to make it a little bit more. Because in order to be a member of this association, you have to have done at least one orbit of the Earth in a spacecraft. And if you've done that, and when you will have done that, please come and join us at ASE. We'll be waiting for you. So this association has astronaut, cosmonaut from everywhere on the planet. And we meet up on a planetary congress right here on Earth, and we also provide a human spaceflight perspective and experience. And because I don't have it all, far from it, then I'd like to invite on the stage those that do have the expertise, one after the other. I'd like to invite Mike López-Alegría, who is Spanish-American astronaut, veteran of 6th flight, including just very recently on Axiom 3, has 10 spacewalk to his credit, which is the record for a NASA male astronaut. And he's there to answer your question. I'd like to ask to the stage Mr. Garrett Reisman, veteran of 2 space flights, including a long duration, first Jewish person to go to space, 107 days in space.
First Jewish crew member on the International Space Station.
First Jewish crew member on the International Space Station, excuse me. Didn't I tell you I didn't know anything? All right, perfect. And because you were filming, young lady, I would like to ask to the stage Sian Proctor, who flew on a Dragon spacecraft on Inspiration 4 with Jared Isaacman, who is currently the NASA administrator. So if you want to talk to Jared, then you call Sian. This is very simple. And last but not least, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Eytan Stibbe, Israeli astronaut, who flew on Axiom 1 with Mike López-Alegría. On behalf of us all, I'd like to say thank you, Eytan. Thank you, Melody. Thank you to the entire team that put the Israeli Space Week together. It was extraordinary. It was a pack with events. And we are very grateful that you invited us and that you are still here listening to what we have to say. So, lady, gentlemen, would you like to sit down there, a microphone? This is your chance, guys, because you are all ISU alumni. You know space probably just as good as we do, but I would like to give you a chance very quickly to ask a question, and either I get to choose who gets to answer the question or you do. So this is a Q&A panel, and you're most welcome to ask what you want. Before, however, we proceed, I'd like to make one more mention. And I'd like to mention that among us, we also have a very illustrious scientist, Mr. Pete Warden, former director of Ames, now the Breakthrough Foundation. If you have any question of science, that's your man. All right, so should I start? I'll start. I'll ask a question. Let's see. This week we talked a lot about space station, the future, how spaceflight changes your body. But what we are often discussing when we're in a spaceflight is food. So I'd like to know if you have either a food story or your best experience with space food. Lots of people think it's not good. No, you see, I should separate these two because they're going to congregate and then Garrett.
While we're waiting, I would say, yeah, I didn't, the food is not, you don't go for the food. That's not, it's not why you go to space. You know, most of the food is either, on the space station, it was either Russian food or American food. The American food was based on military rations. It was mostly dehydrated, irradiated, freeze-dried kind of stuff. Not the best. And then, there's no shawarma, it was like, and then the Russian food, actually, I thought the Russian food actually tasted better. But the problem was one of presentation, because it comes in these cans. And when you open a can, you look inside, it looks like dog food. So and it smells like, yeah. But I guess if I was going to, I guess if I had to pick one quick favorite food story, it would be this little bit of trivia. Who do you think is the first person to eat kimchi in space? You would think it's Sonia. I feel comfortable talking about this because she told this story in Australia. And she's an ISU alum. But no, because she came up and she was going through her stuff and she had some kimchi and she said, "Garrett, would you like to try some?" And I said, "Yeah, that's great. That looks really good because all this other food is really bad. So yeah, I would love some." So I had some kimchi and she goes, "No! I was supposed to be the first person to eat kimchi." So you can win at trivia if you know that the first person that ate kimchi in space was a Jew from New Jersey.
Mike.
I have a story. As you can see, I have affiliation with Spain. I was born there, but we moved to the U.S. when I was quite young. But my father is Spanish, and I have a Spanish family, and I like to cook paella. Everybody know what paella is? It's sort of the national dish. And so on my second shuttle mission, I decided to try to get paella to space. And so I made the paella. I brought it to the food laboratory at Johnson Space Center, where they put it through all kinds of testing. They dehydrated it, they put it in little packages, and when we got up on orbit, I was the first person to eat paella in space. It was terrible.
Eytan.
So I celebrated Pesach in space. No, I didn't take matzah because if it's not fresh, you pack it in advance, and if it's not fresh, it's really not worth taking. So I was sadly going to celebrate Pesach in space with nothing traditional, and then Tom Marshburn, the commander of the ISS, floats by with 3 cans of gefilte fish. No, I don't like gefilte fish. But we opened it, and the fish in general is a good thing. Astronauts like it, and it was sweet, and we finished it very fast. No, we didn't have that, unfortunately.
Sian.
SpaceX actually tried to give us healthy food, and we completely rebelled. And at the end, they said, "Well, what do you want to eat in space?" And we all agreed pizza would be great. And so they made us pizza because it was 3 days.
Dehydrated
it was
pizza?
like, huh?
Dehydrated pizza?
No.
Ah.
Basically, there's no cooling or heating element on the Dragon, so they cooked the pizza, and it was cold pizza, and they made a cooler for us, and so we had cold pizza, olives, cheese, crackers, Skittles, M&Ms, because we said we're going for 3 days. It doesn't have to be healthy. It's like camping in space, and SpaceX agreed.
But M&Ms are not called M&Ms on the station because you're not allowed to have commercial names. It's called
Chocolate-coated candies.
On my second flight, we were 7 on board the space shuttle, and there were 6 people on board the International Space Station. So when we joined together, 7 plus 6, 13 people, which still today the record of the number of people on the same spacecraft at the same time. And to please the crew on the last day that we'd be together before the shuttle undocks and comes back on the ground, I had, with the help of the food lab, packed something called maple leaf cookies. Any Canadian in the audience? John? These are like Oreo cookie, but the middle has maple leaf cream, maple sugar cream. It's extraordinarily good, and we had them on training, and we had them packed into little packs of 2 cookies per pack. And they had put my color on it because we have little dots of color on the food to say who is it. And I'm the flight engineer, the MS2, so my color is green. And they put this in a drawer that supposedly is only mine. By the time I get there, the last day, at the end of a 16-day mission, I pull on the drawer, and there is in there lots of little package, and there's not a single cookie, not one cookie left. So I go to the guys, because it's me and 12 boys, and I'm like, who ate the cookies? And they all looked at me and they said, cookies? There were cookies on board? Really? Truly, cookies. And to this day, 15 years later, they have never acknowledged having eaten the cookies in space.
Must have been alien.
Wolf, Cassidy, Copra, yeah. Mm-mm. Okay, so that was the first starting question. Anybody would like to say, Madam?
I've got a question regarding the EVAs, the spacewalks. If any of you know or felt himself like about the smell of space. Does space smells like anything? Because I was already like asking another astronaut, a Japanese astronaut.
What did
and
he say?
Fruity,
Yeah. What did he say about the smell of space? It
like
smelled
like fruits, like fruits.
like fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Speaking of food, we've also heard cream of mushroom soup. I don't know where that comes from, but
I heard that too this week, and I'm like, what?
So does it smell?
I think the consensus is it smells like burnt or hot metal, and hot metal. And the reason is that when you're outside, obviously you're exposed to the very extreme temperatures, plus 200 during the day, minus 200 at night, and the day and night happens every 45 minutes or so. And so when you come inside, the metal is actually still off-gassing, and so when you close the hatch and repressurize the airlock and then open the inner hatch, it does quite a lot smell like burnt metal.
Thank you.
Garrett?
Yeah, I was just that same thing, but just to point out, so it's not actually the smell of space. It's the smell of the space station that's off-gassing.
Oh, the airlock, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't do any spacewalks, unfortunately. My commander didn't
Yet,
allow me.
yet.
But I did visit the airlock. And that was his bedroom. So I won't tell you about the smells.
Other questions?
Hi.
Hi, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. My name is Isaac Singer. I'm just wondering if, what you guys think about the most valuable use cases of space exploration, and maybe what are the least considered.
I'm not sure we understood. Can you rephrase, please?
What's the least?
What do you think are the least, the most valuable but least appreciated or underestimated uses of space exploration, or what can be gained from space exploration and space tech, or the future of the industry that people aren't talking about enough?
So that's a very good question. And I think the answer is we don't know, and that's the beauty of what we don't know, because as we start transitioning low Earth orbit from a government infrastructure to commercial, I think there's going to be a lot of incentive to develop products and services in space that we just can't imagine yet. So we like to think of it as the internet was in the 1990s, where there was this thing out there, but nobody could anticipate that you could now pick up your phone and order a pizza, maybe not from space yet, but you could do things that are unimaginable 25 years ago. And so I think the fact that we don't know is kind of the beauty of the story.
But Sian, wouldn't you think that one of the underestimated benefits of exploration, and space exploration in particular, would have to do with inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of the reasons why our mission was inspiration for. How do you inspire, the next generation and others that they can be a part of this story? And I think one of the things is that whole idea of that it always has to be advancing human space flight through science and technology, engineering and math, and these kinds of like big endeavors where inspiration gets put to the side sometimes. And how many of you watched Inspiration 4 or followed it? And did you feel inspired by it? Yeah, and so it was really a great mission, great storytelling, and this on all, and also that idea of doing good for the planet, and and Axiom has always carried that forward with their missions too, and I think that that's important through art and storytelling and our view of the planet and the things that we can bring the culture of humanity. And I think that's often underrated as part of all the missions is just that inspiration. And I think Artemis too is a great example of that as they go around the moon for the first time since the Apollo and the pictures and the stories and the experience and how they're going to captivate the entire world with this mission.
Just like it's going to happen in a few weeks from now when we launch Artemis 2 to the moon. Think about it. We haven't launched anybody to the moon in more than 50 years. Since 1972, there's nobody that's seen this, and we're about to do it again. So I hope you're going to be tuning in. All right, another question. Sir.
Have you read Project Hail Mary? And if so, what do you think about it?
Anybody? I haven't.
I loved it. If you saw The Martian,
What is it?
it's Andy Weir's latest book, which is being made into. So if you know The Martian and you read that book or saw the movie, this is his third book, Project Hail Mary. I liked it even more. I read both of them, and I liked this more than The Martian. It was that fantastic. So read it or listen to it on Audible before the movie comes out.
All right.
I got
We will
Julie,
read.
I got a funny story, not about Project Hail Mary, but about The Martian. So I was at a cocktail party, and I met the author, Andy Weir. And he asked me if I liked his book, and I said no. And he said, well, why didn't you like it? Was it because there's not really enough dynamic pressure in the thin Martian atmosphere to knock an antenna off the roof of a... I said, nah, I was fine with that. He said, well, because I didn't have enough redundancy in the systems and I was like, no.
How about because he cut a hole in his glove and he got a...
Actually, it's not in the book. That's the movie.
And that he
That's in
used
the movie.
cellophane and
That's
duct
not-
tape
that's
to
not-
keep the pressure
The
in.
duct tape was a little crazy, but none of that. He said, "Well, why did you hate my book?" I said, "Listen, I work all day at SpaceX. Okay, I was the director of space operations. I work all day, and I come home and I'm in my bed. I'm reading a little bit to fall asleep, and this is what I'm reading. I have 146 sols to cover 2,000 kilometers, and I got 56 moles of NTO, and I'm like, and it feels like I'm still at work." I want to relax. I want like a romance or something.
That's hard to do when you're alone on Mars.
Yeah.
No, anyway.
But
All right.
it's actually my son's.
We're not going to go there.
Don't go there. It was it was actually my son's favorite book, so I had to give him some credit. It's a really
Right.
good book.
Let's go to the back. Someone.
I'm Boris from Moonshot Space, and I have a follow-up question for you. So I'm wondering about private space stations, the project you have, next private space station. What are you guys looking forward to about the world of private space stations? And who do you guys think is going to be, what company is going to be the first one to get there?
Mike, why don't you take that one?
Maybe we should arm wrestle. Full disclosure, obviously I work for Axiom and he works for VAST. We still are pretty good friends. No, I think, first of all, competition is great. It's good for everybody, and I think it will be a horse race, as we say. It'll be very interesting to see. If you don't know, NASA has a procurement called Commercial LEO Destination, CLD, and they will award some money to one or two companies. I would say there are 3 legitimate contenders in that, so it'll be interesting. I obviously would like to see Axiom be at least one of those companies. We have gone pretty far down the road in the development of the station. We have a kind of a revised assembly sequence that will allow us to have a fully functional station on orbit as soon as 2028, which is well ahead of the 2030 sort of deadline. So I'm looking forward to that launch and maybe going aboard one day.
So at best, we hope to have one in orbit by 2026.
Not fully functional.
Fully functional. Fully functional. It's got a bathroom and everything. So,
Ask Sian about the bathroom.
oh, we don't
That's
wanna-
true. It's the Dragon capsule, so.
You can ask me about it too. So I think actually what I'm hoping for is that there's more than one, because I think it'd be great if going forward, right now we have the ISS, we have the Chinese space station. It'd be great if there's multiple space stations in the future. I would like to see, especially driven by commercial purposes and other revenues, that we could really expand the number of people living in low Earth orbit. I think that'd be, why not? That's what we should do, right? So I think that'd be great.
Living in Leo is exciting because if we remember the shuttle days and Ilan Ramon flight, they were working 24/7. Blue team, red team, there was always someone working, someone resting. On the station, it's not like that. Everyone lives according to the UTC, the London GMT time. Go to sleep at the same time, 9 o'clock, wake up in the morning at 6, have a weekend in order to relax and speak to the family and play games. So lifestyle in space is very important. So they invest, both of them, and Voyager as well, invest a lot in the quality of life of those who are going to live there.
All right, one more question. Who has the microphone? All right, can you stand up, sir?
Following Eytan's answer, I have a question about the next generation of astronauts. How do you think it will be different from your generation, and what excites you about it?
I can start. I really believe that with the arrival of a more opening of commercial endeavors in space, the arrival of commercial space station, there will be different types of people rather than the professional astronaut type that will go to space, and that will enrich our understanding of what we do up there and also enrich our perception of the most beautiful view that we get in lower Earth orbit, and that is of our magnificent planet that is turning up below us. So that will be a good thing. However, it will bring different challenges and different problems, most probably also because folks that go to space right now go through a very extensive medical examinations before they leave, so that we don't have any problems up there. And actually, we had to shorten the mission just a few weeks ago due to a medical issue in space, and it was the first time in 25 years of continuous human presence on ISS that we had to do that. But with a variety of people, then we'll have other challenges, and we will need folks like you to solve them. Anybody else? All
I
right.
answered this similarly at the conference, I think it was yesterday, but I think what is going to be availed to us by the fact that these machines are going to be a lot more automated and, self-correcting, and perhaps use AI to do some of that. The people, the crew members, can be a lot more specialized. They won't have to be trained, spend so much of their training and their time on board, basically operating the space station. They can do scientific experiments or grow crystals or take pictures or write poetry or whatever they're doing up there. And I think that's a good thing because we can diversify the population from which we take people to go to space. So I would predict that as we started along this journey, everybody was a military test pilot, and now that's a pretty small fraction of the even the government selections these days.
So I concur. I think there are two major shifts that are already well underway that is changing the nature of the job. And one is what Mike just very astutely pointed out, which is that the level of automation is vastly different. You've flown in the shuttle and the Dragon. I've flown in the shuttle and helped design the ops concept for the Dragon. I can tell you it's night and day about what it requires on the part of the crew to operate the vehicle, which opens up a lot of possibilities. And so the other trend that is accelerating is the duration. So in the very beginning, we flew missions that were, even the Apollo missions were, on the order of a week. So now we're talking about a year or so. The kind of skills, that's what I would say, the soft skills, the interpersonal skills that are required for an expedition like that is very different from what is required for a 1 week or a couple day trip or something like that. So I think those two trends are really changing the skills that are needed in the next generation of astronauts.
And I'll just add, it's interesting to see that, when I was growing up, you wanted to be a NASA astronaut, but now, you look that NASA has astronauts, Axiom has astronauts, Virgin Galactic has astronauts, Blue Origin has astronauts, SpaceX has employees who became astronauts. And so I just feel like the path, there's so many more paths now to space, and as we do more in low Earth orbit, and we have these stations and stuff, VAST is going to have their astronauts, and maybe Voyager. You just don't know. It's just amazing to see how access is changing through a lot of different channels these days.
So it's your responsibility to make sure that the minister follows her word and sends an astronaut soon. We did a quick review to find a available seat in the next 3-4 years. It's very tough. So we have to put huge pressure and sign up early. And that you can help.
And I'll conclude by saying that at the International Space University, there is a domain that you are studying and that we need more expertise because we don't have a solution right now. And it's that in the governance model that we will use on board the new space station. What are the rules? How are they going to apply? If someone does something that they're not supposed to, what law will apply? So the entire domain of space law and space governance. And then once we get to the moon and everybody will want to land on the south pole of the moon, how we're going to organize ourselves, this is really very timely now to start really thinking about it from a scholarly point of view and to recommend to governments to get some agreement, even beyond the Artemis agreement. Thank you very much. And thank you all.